I'd like to call the meeting to order at 6:34. Start with the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Appreciate it.
Next on the agenda is adoption of minutes, but I'd like to table them for the time being. They're not done. Our town clerk enjoyed a nice vacation.
I'm not tan.
Jealous that I didn't go anywhere. So, next up on the agenda is citizens' comments. Are there any citizens in the audience looking to speak? 5-minute limit. Mr. Birch.
Good afternoon, Fred Birch, Plainville Road. So I think it was last October, we had a meeting, and then we went out and probably was a nice night. I think it was like 60 degrees or something. So people congregated outside and were carrying on conversations. And I heard a conversation between a town employee and a town board member. And I was about 10 feet away, but from what I overheard, it had something to do with civil service and civil service examinations and taking them for the position, whether they're required or not. And rather than sit around and bother people and ask questions, I decided to go and do some homework myself and see what type of information I could find out. So on that night, I became aware that the individual who runs our parks department has never signed up for nor taken a civil service exam. And so what I did is I'm like, well, I know in the past park people have taken it, and then I know Mr. Birkinshaw, who lived in Van Buren, had never taken it, and that was kind of a point with the board that they didn't like that situation or something. I just assumed the next guy that came on would go through the proper procedures. So based on that conversation that I overheard, I went home the next day and I got on the phone. And I called Onondaga County Civil Service, and I called all 19 towns located in Onondaga County. I had the privilege of speaking to every single town supervisor from each town. It's amazing, it's wonderful when you first announce to them that you don't live from their town, you tell them how much time they give you and how pleasant they are. It's just unbelievable feeling, to be honest with you. I also had the opportunity to speak with some of the park people and the town clerks from each of these townships. And in Onondaga County, there's a distinction between Class A and Class B towns. I'm sure you all know that. The distinction would be population. Anything over 10,000 is Class A, anything under 10,000 is Class B. There are 12 Class Town A's, 12 Class A towns in Onondaga County, 7 Class B. I specifically concentrated on the Class A towns when I foiled information. And what I found out when I foiled information from the 11 other Class A towns is every single person that's in charge of the Parks Department has a title, and every single one of those titles matches. They are the Director of Parks and Recreation. And I also found out through that FOIL that every single one of those individuals that heads those parks in every one of those towns has taken and passed a civil service exam. While I was at it, I said, do you mind if I ask you a few more questions? Does your town have a residency requirement for that position or other positions? And what I found out is all 11 other Class A towns besides us has a residency requirement for that position.
You got one minute.
Okay. I asked another question specifically of the parks heads in each one of those townships. Do you have a winter parks program? And what I'm asking about, not asking about a room with 4 people playing chess, 70 degrees. I'm wondering, do you have cross-country skiing, snowshoeing, any ice skating, any snowmen or snow angel competition or anything like that? Best bowl of chili, bring the moms out. Every single one of the towns, with the exception of the town of Lysander, has a winter parks program that entails going outside with the kids. Every single town except for the town of Lysander has a residency requirement for the person who's in charge of the parks. Clay is distinct from all the other towns. Every person that works for the Parks Department has to be a resident of their town. And through my foiling and asking questions, I found out we don't have somebody that's a resident of our town that runs our parks. We don't have a full winter parks program. We don't have any winter parks program. We don't have an individual who's signed up for and taken the civil service exam like all the other towns have in our county. And so my question is, I'm just wondering why.
So Fred, I'll address your question. So
Thank you for your time, first of
I
all.
was on the hiring committee. We did put an ad out. Unfortunately, we didn't have any residents from Lysander, the town of Lysander, to apply for that position. We've had other people from all over New York State apply for that position. The most qualified person that we hired was the person that's in this position right now.
Is this person taking the civil service exam?
The person does run programs in the winter. They may not be to your liking, but he does run programs in the winter, regardless if they're outside or not. It really doesn't matter because they're winter programs. Second of all, the civil service, to my understanding, his title is not on the civil service, and New York State has to come up with a test for it. So he's hired provisionally until that test is given. So his title is not the same title as every other Parks Department.
Why?
Does it matter? Why? I'm saying his position, right, his title.
You did that on purpose.
I
You
didn't-
gave him that title
It
so
doesn't-
he could avoid taking the test.
He will, once that test is given, he has
There's
to
a
take
test
it.
available right now for
Not with
$15.
his title.
Change the title.
Not with his title.
Do you
Once-
think New York State is going to waste money to create a test just for the town of Lysander and not every other town in New
He
York
knows he's
State?
hired provisionally, that he has to pass a test, so it's a moot point.
Actually, I'm sorry. I need to jump in here. It was created as an untested management confidential position. You may not like it, Mr. Birch, but that's exactly what it is. There is not another position in all of New York State that has the job description and title of that job that we created for this.
We must have a special town guy then, and we
Well,
must have a
we have a
special
very special
situation.
town. Well, you can make all the innuendos you want, Mr. Birch. But for the record and for the folks that are listening, it was purposely created as an untested position. If the state of New York at some point in time decides, well, you know what, maybe there should be a test, that day may come. There was no worry about that.
I'm just wondering when the board is going to decide to change the name so he can take the test that's already been available for years.
So let me finish
That's
this
all.
up. There are additional duties with the Parks Director that come into play that wouldn't necessarily be with Parks. He also assists with the building maintenance and outlying buildings like the Troopers Barracks. So
I
there are
appreciate
additional
that.
duties
wouldn't be able
that
to do
don't
that.
necessarily go into just Park Director or programming. That when you hire somebody for that position, you look at the civil service, you'll get a list of what that position entails.
Well, I can appreciate that information, but that doesn't answer my question at all as to why we
Well,
gave
it's a
somebody a
unique,
title
it's a unique
that
position.
doesn't have a test. Like every other town, Van Buren, Camillus, they take the test. They live in the
Right,
town.
and
have
they
a
may,
full parks
that
program.
don't
person
care
that
what
takes
those
care of
other
the parks
towns do.
may
We
only
live in
take care of the
Lysander.
So
parks.
my question is, then don't compare our town to the other towns when you do taxes, when you do amenities, when you do traffic, when you do services. We
never-
see this, the next time it happens, I will make,
I'm sure you will.
let's not compare our town to the other towns. And that's the reason why I did some comparison, because the boards, not particularly this board, but boards in the past and this board, like to compare. Boy, our taxes are cheaper than everybody else's. Our park is better than everybody. But you know what? When we do some comparison of things that you don't like, guess what?
There's a lot of things that other towns offer that we don't, that are better than Lysander. I only care about Lysander.
We could do that today. We could change the name today for a test that's available. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Are there any other citizens wishing to make a comment? Being none, we'll move on to town board comments. We'll start with Councilor Kudarakis.
Well, apologize, I wasn't here last meeting, I was on vacation as well too, not with Dina. But she does look like she has a better tan than I do, so I'm kind of jealous there. But I think I did go to a nicer place, but other than that, I'll stick to the agenda.
I'll just stick to the agenda tonight as well.
I would like to thank everyone for coming, everyone who's watching, and I would like to, in particular, thank the people who spoke during the work session as well. I didn't get an opportunity to share my thoughts, but that day will come, I'm sure. So other than that, I will stick to the agenda.
Okay. Supervisors' comments. Just had a couple things. Our annual financial review has been submitted to the state. We submitted it yesterday. It had to be done by May 1st. We'll get the link up on the website. It goes through the state comptroller's office. You can scroll through it. A majority of it looks like our budget, where we ended up, fund balances, various items. Those are all for public review, public documents. And then probably, I'm hoping in June that we're gonna give a 2023 presentation on where the budget ended up, fund balances, miscellaneous items to show for 2023. So we should be, our comptroller, Mr. Zapizek, will be working on buttoning up the 2023 budget modifications in this month. The next item is next weekend. We have the Radisson garage sale, Mother's Day weekend. Oh,
Real quick, there's a garage sale starting tomorrow and Saturday in Abbott's, Holly Hill, and Clinton Heights, if anyone's interested in going.
I'm just reminding people. I'm just reminding people because it does get busy and hectic over in the Radisson area. Friday, Saturday, sometimes Thursday now, so just be prepared. You drive down Drake's Landing or Willett Parkway, see all the cars on the side of the road. They're probably looking around at the various garage sales. The other item I have next week, there's a finance school training out in Geneva. The comptroller and myself are going to that for, it's a day and a half a day the next morning. It's over in Geneva. We're just driving back and forth. So we'll be attending that. And that's all I have on my end. Department head reports. Mr. Rivasinger. Mr. Sweden.
Yes, I would like to thank everybody who is being patient with the paving and the milling, so that the board knows we're on track to do pretty much all of our highway work, whether it's milling, fill, or chip seal, probably the second, weather depending, first or second week of June. And we also got a little hint at what we're probably going to get for our funding, and it's pretty favorable. It's, I believe last year's number increased by maybe 14 or 15,000. Same thing that last year, which enabled us to do a lot of things, get a lot accomplished. But I would ask that if you're in work zone, I know that it can be confusing. There's cones, there's people walking, there's machinery, there's noise. I just ask you, please pay attention to the person that has the flag who's, you know, directing you to either stop, and they know that you can't tell what's going on and how frustrating it is, but they still have to stand there. So hopefully it's going to be a short period of road work so that life will return to normal. That's all I know.
Thank you, Ken. Town engineer.
Nothing this evening.
Town clerk?
Everybody knows that Seneca River Fire District is close to my heart, so I just want to let everybody know that there's a pole barn sale tomorrow and Saturday, and anything sold, all proceeds go to the fire department. So that's in conjunction with all the other garage sales that are going on.
It's garage sale season. And hopefully the weather stays good. Okay. Now we'll move on to the regular agenda items. Motion A. I'd like to get a motion to waive the permit fee in the amount of $300 for the fireworks display for the annual Founder's Day celebration on Saturday, August 10th, rain date of August 11th, 2024. That's in Brass.
I'll move that.
I'll second.
Discussion. Every year we waive the fees. I know Councilor Kudarakis
loves going to it. It's a great event, especially for the residents. They have nice food trucks, they have, good bands, and they have, if you're a resident, I'm not a resident anymore. Big fun.
Anybody can go to the fireworks.
Right, anybody. You can see them from a ways away, but yes.
It benefits 9,000 residents.
And it's the 50th anniversary of Brass. So, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All approved, motion carried. Next item on the agenda, motion P. I'd like to get a motion to approve the use of additional ARPA funds and the amount of $5,445.05 to complete 4 previously approved ARPA projects as follows. Mills Road, Whispering Oaks Drainage, Lysander Park. I wrote fence, that was my mistake. It was additional work on the fields and the website redesign. There were sheets up at the front counter that breaks down the various amounts. What happened, okay.
I'll move it.
I'll second it. Discussion. What happened was after we were finishing up the 2023 books and the ARPA funding, going through the budgets on what was actually appropriated and spent on those accounts, you'll look, we had amounts approved and then we had the actual amounts expensed. Some of them ran over, the website being the largest one with the update of the website by $2,300. Whispering Oaks was over by $1,808.05. $400 on the repair of the field at the park, and then the Mills Road Water District. Even though the district failed, we had spent ARPA funding on all of the preliminary work on that. So those are what added up to those totals. Is there any other questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All. Motion C. I'd like to get a motion to accept the resignation of Greg Payne with an effective date of May 3rd, 2024.
I'll move that.
I'll second it.
Discussion. Greg has served the town of Lysander taxpayers in the assessor's office for almost 32 years. He's finally decided to retire and looking forward to spending a lot of time, not working here. But he loved his job. We had a small party for him today. He was very helpful. He will be missed. At the previous meeting, we announced his replacement, Anne Marie, and I think she'll do a great job. But Greg, have fun out there. Thank you for your years of service. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Yes. And that's it for the meeting. Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting at
I
6:52?
will move that.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Have a good night, folks.